In this video, I'm going to explain how changing focal lengths can affect what a face or what a person looks like. Now, this is a combination of not just changing the focal length, but the distance from your camera to your subject. Now, in this example, I've used my crop sensor camera and I've tried to maintain the same exact framing of my subject, myself. Now, with this setup, 16 millimeters, it's a wider lens. It would be sort of like a 30 or 25 millimeter lens on a full frame camera. I am very close to the lens. And because of that, the difference between the distance of my nose to the camera versus my ears to the camera, the background to the camera, is much different. And it's a greater difference than something like a 35 millimeter lens. Whereas the difference between the distance between my nose and ears is much closer. It's much more compressed with these longer focal lengths. And that changes what the video or what my face actually looks like. With the 16 millimeter wide lens, my face looks actually a little bit thinner. On the right side, you see the 35 mil. It's a little bit more square. My ears seem to be brought forward, and that might actually be a more natural looking video or photo. So here we're going to run through some more focal lengths, 35 millimeter, jumping up to 56 millimeter. You can see the compression in the background changing as well, but I've maintained the framing here at 80 millimeter and all the way up to 200 millimeter. And as we run through these a little bit faster, you can see the shape of my face changing, especially when we compare the 16 millimeter to the 200 millimeter. A crazy difference. But the difference between where the camera was literally 2 or 3 feet away from my face compared to maybe 100 feet away. And so that difference results in these changes in how my face looks. Now, this is important to know because when you are choosing what lens to shoot at, what position you want your camera to be at, it's going to change how your subjects look. I think that something between a 35 to 80 is more of a natural look. So here we can see the difference in a quicker way. I've cropped the video so you can see just my face, and you can kind of see a better understanding what the difference looks like. So now we jump back out to the 16 millimeter, which gives a very close up, sort of like you're right there with that person feel, compared to something like the 56 or the 35, which I think looks more natural, especially on my crop sensor camera. I would say something like a 50 to 80 looks great and that distance looks great on a full frame camera. Here, the 35 looks pretty natural as well. But there's a creative decision to be made. And that 16 millimeter lens, it feels like you're right there with that subject compared to something with a higher focal length, because literally your camera's further away. And it might not feel like your viewer is right there with the subject compared to that close distance of the 16 millimeter lens. Here you can clearly see the difference in the backgrounds and how that changes. If you want a clean background, getting on that high focal length is going to be a great way to clean up that background, have no distractions. But if you want to see the set, you want to see your subject in the background, the wider lens is going to help with that. And at the end of the day, it's up to you and your subject to decide what look you're going for. But now you understand that there is literally a physical difference in how a person is perceived at these different focal lengths, at these different distances from the camera. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps, and we'll see you in another video.